Welcome back, Awesome Possums. Today we're going to read The Mysterious Tadpole, written and illustrated by Stephen Kellogg. Our story's genre is fantasy. A fantasy is a story that could not happen in real life. As you read, look for events that could not really happen and characters that are not found in real life. Our target skill is story structure. The story structure tells the setting, characters, and the plot of the story. Let's go ahead and begin reading The Mysterious Tadpole. "Greetings, nephew," cried Lewis's Uncle McAllister. "I brought a wee bit of Scotland for your birthday." "Thanks," said Lewis. "Look, Mom and Dad, it's a tadpole." Lewis named him Alphonse and promised to take very good care of him. Lewis took Alphonse to school for show and tell. "Class, here we have a splendid example of a tadpole," exclaimed Mrs. Shelbert. "Let's ask Lewis to bring it back every week so we can watch it become a frog." Mrs. Shelbert was amazed to see how quickly Alphonse grew. "Maybe it's because he only eats cheeseburgers," said Lewis. When Alphonse became too big for his jar, Lewis moved him to the kitchen sink. "He's the perfect pet," said Lewis. Lewis and Alphonse loved to play games. "Be careful, Lewis," said his mother. "The living room is not a soccer field. Something is going to get broken." And she was right. That same day, the soccer ball slammed into Aunt Tabitha's antique lamp. "This tadpole is out of control," said Lewis's mother. "Something must be done." "It won't happen again," promised Lewis. "I'll take Alphonse to obedience school." The only animals at obedience school were dogs. Some of their owners stared at Alphonse suspiciously. "Pretend you're a dog," whispered Lewis. Alphonse tried to bark, but it sounded more like a burp. "Hold on a minute," said the trainer. "What kind of dog is this?" "He's a hairless, spotted water spaniel from Scotland," exclaimed Lewis. Alphonse quickly learned to sit, stay, and retrieve. He graduated at the top of his class. "My parents will be very pleased," said Lewis. But Lewis's parents were not pleased when Alphonse outgrew the sink and had to be moved to the bathtub. "This shower is too crowded," complained Lewis's father. "This bathroom is a mess," moaned Lewis's mother. At least Lewis's classmates enjoyed Alphonse, who was still making weekly visits. "Wow, show and tell is more fun than recess," they yelled. But one day Miss Shelbert decided that Alphonse was not turning into an ordinary frog. She asked Lewis to stop bringing him to school. By the time summer vacation arrived, Alphonse outgrown the bathtub. "We could buy the parking lot next door and build him a swimming pool," suggested Lewis. "Be sensible," declared Lewis's parents. "Swimming pools are expensive. We're sorry, Lewis, but the situation has become impossible. Tomorrow you will have to take your tadpole to the zoo." "But I can't put my friend in a cage," cried Lewis. That night Lewis was very sad, until he remembered that the gym in the nearby high school had a swimming pool. Lewis hid Alphonse under a carpet and smuggled him inside. "Nobody uses this place during the summer," whispered Lewis. "You'll be safe here." After making sure that Alphonse felt at home, Lewis said goodbye. "I'll be back tomorrow with a big pile of cheeseburgers," he promised. Lewis came every afternoon to play with Alphonse. In the morning he earned the money for the cheeseburgers by delivering newspapers. The training continued as well. Lewis would say, "Alphonse, retrieve!" and Alphonse would succeed every time. As summer vacation passed, Louis became more and more worried about what would happen to Alphonse when the high school kids returned. After the first day of classes, Louis ran to the high school and found the gym bustling with activity. The swim team was heading for the pool. "Stop!" cried Louis. "On your mark!" bellowed the coach. "Get set!" "Excuse me, sir," said Louis. "Go!" roared the coach. Alphonse rose to the surface to welcome the swimmers. "It's a submarine from another planet!" shrieked the coach. "Call the police! Call the Navy!" "No, it's only a tadpole," said Louis. "He's my pet." The coach was upset and confused. "You have until tomorrow," he cried, "to get that creature out of the pool." Louis telephoned his friend Miss Severs, the librarian, and asked for help. "I'll be right there," she said. Miss Severs rushed to meet Louis at the high school. When she saw Alphonse, she was so startled that she dropped her purse into the water. "Retrieve!" said Louis, and Alphonse did. "Where did this astounding animal come from?" cried Miss Severs. "He was a birthday gift from my uncle," Louis replied. Miss Severs telephoned Mr. McAllister. "Oh, the wee tadpole," he said. "Why, he came from the lake nearby. It's the one folks call Loch Ness." "Brace yourself, Louis," Miss Severs said. "I believe your uncle found the Loch Ness monster." "I don't care," cried Louis. "Alphonse is my friend, and I love him." He pleaded with Miss Severs to help him raise enough money to buy the parking lot so he could build a big swimming pool for Alphonse. Suddenly, Miss Severs had an idea. "Long ago a pirate ship sank in the harbor," she said. "No one has ever been able to find it or its treasure chest, but perhaps we can." The next morning they drove to the harbor and rented a boat. "This is a treasure chest," cried Louis. "Retrieve!" Alphonse disappeared under the water and returned with the chest. It was filled with gold and jewels. "Let's buy the parking lot and get to work," cried Miss Severs. Louis's parents were shocked to see construction crews in the parking lot. "Louis," they cried, "what in the world is going on here?" "Alphonse found a pirate treasure ship," exclaimed Louis, "and we used part of our gold to buy you this present." Louis's parents were shocked once again. "Tickets for a vacation cruise to Hawaii?" they gasped. "And," said Louis, "you don't have to worry about us because Granny has agreed to babysit." They hugged Louis. They kissed Alphonse. "How soon can we leave?" they cried. "Immediately," said Louis. By the time Louis's parents returned, the swimming pool was being enjoyed by everyone in the city. A week later, Louis said, "Alphonse, tomorrow's my birthday, which means you've been my best friend for a whole year." The next day, Uncle McAllister arrived for the party. "Greetings, Louis, my lad," he exclaimed. "I've come with a curious stone from the hills of Scotland. Happy birthday!" "Wow, thanks," said Louis. Suddenly, the stone began to tremble and crack. That was a great story, boys and girls. Let's dig into how to analyze the text by looking at the story structure. The Mysterious Tadpole is about a boy who gets an unusual pet. The characters, setting, and plot make up the story elements. The beginning of the story tells the characters and the setting and what the problem the characters have. The end of the story tells how the problem was solved. You can use a chart like this one to help you organize your characters, setting, and plot. When we talk about the characters in the story and we're listing the characters in the story, we can't list every character. So what we do is we think, who were the main characters? Who was this story about? And this story was about Lewis and Alphonse. So we're going to list them as the main characters. The setting in the story changes. We're going to list the setting as Lewis's home because that's where most of the story took place. It also took place at school for show and tell, and at the high school in the pool, but the story setting mostly took place in Lewis's home. So we're going to say the setting of this story took place in Lewis's home. When we talk about the plot of a story, we could be talking about the beginning, the middle, and the end, and listing what happened at the beginning, what happened in the middle, and what happened in the end. But in this story, we're going to talk about the plot as being the problem and solution of the story. So the problem of this story was Alphonse was getting so big he couldn't fit anywhere in the house. The solution was Lewis wanted to buy the parking lot to build up Alphonse's swimming pool next door to them. And did Lewis get his parking lot? Did Lewis get his pool? He certainly did, boys and girls. There's one more skill that I want to work on, boys and girls, before we leave today, and that is to draw conclusions. Authors don't always tell readers everything that they want you to know. Readers have to ask questions to draw conclusions about what the author does not say. Text evidence, such as clues in the words and pictures, can help you draw conclusions. For example, you might ask yourself, where did the story take place? Well, you can look at the pictures in the story to figure out what the author doesn't tell you. In the first half of the story, you see Alphonse in a kitchen sink, in a bathtub. Alphonse is given to Lewis at a birthday party. We can draw the conclusion that the story setting is at Alphonse's house. Now let's look at 3 pictures and let's draw some more conclusions. In the first picture, I see people looking very curious and suspiciously at Alphonse. I can draw the conclusion that these people really aren't sure what to think about Alphonse and they're kind of confused. If we look at the next picture, I see children running up the steps, and I see a coach screaming and throwing his things up in the air. I can draw the conclusion that Alphonse has scared the heck out of all these people. And the third picture, remember, Uncle McAllister gave Alphonse a gift. I can draw the conclusion that the gift is probably a prehistoric dinosaur of some type because it hatched from an egg and it sure does look awful big. That's the end of our story, awesome possums. I hope you enjoyed The Mysterious Tadpole. Like this video and subscribe to my channel. New lessons are posted weekly. Work on your growth mindset and remember, all things are difficult before they get easy. Have a great day and I'll see you back soon.